review for Gladiator 2. Just watched this, and yeah, I thought it was okay. I didn't think it was like a train wreck or terrible. Compared to the first, though, man, is it mediocre. Man, just because like the first movie is one of my favorite movies ever made. I think it's basically a perfect movie. Especially, the director's cut adds even a little bit more to the plot, which I like. So go with the director's cut. I think it only adds like 5 or 10 minutes. It's not much, but it kind of fleshes out some of the plot that's going on where they're gonna, try and take the emperor out and stuff. But I've been trying to make this movie for, since the first one. Because apparently, when they were making the first one, a lot of critics and thought it was going to be a total train wreck, and it shocked people, and it was good, and made tons of money, and of course went on to win like 5 Oscars, I think. Got Russell Crowe the Oscar, and in this, Paul Mescal, I mean, I don't think I've seen him in much, but he's an okay actor. He does fine here, but there's just none of the charisma of Russell Crowe. And they always try and repeat so many lines from the first movie. It's like, strength and honor, and just tons of lines, and it just doesn't have the heart of the first movie, and you just don't care that much. I mean, and he has a wife, and she's killed, of course, and he wants revenge on Pedro Pascal, who plays this Roman general who conquered the city he was living in. And Denzel Washington is the best thing about this movie, definitely. And the battle scenes were cool in the beginning, and the movie opens up on a battle scene just like the original Gladiator. I mean, there's so many things where it's just like a pseudo remake of the first movie. And yeah, but Denzel Washington by far is the best thing in this movie. He's having a great time. I mean, I get why he did it. I mean, besides the money, which I'm sure he made tons of money, but because the character he's playing that's actually a pretty good role. And this is gonna be spoilers for this movie. If you've seen the first Gladiator, it's a pseudo remake, but it's just kind of middling. So if you do me a favor and smash that like button, that'd be great. It really helps the channel. And on to the review. So, the synopsis: after his home is conquered by the tyrannical emperors who now lead Rome, Lucius is forced to enter the Colosseum and must look to his past to find strength to return the glory of Rome to its people. So, a lot of this movie never happened. A bunch of the timelines are all mixed up. Those 2 emperors did exist. But as I was reading, their father was the emperor too, and then when he died, they kind of just turned on each other, which kind of happens in the movie, but there is no father in this. Denzel Washington's character did exist. He was white, but I'm not big on race swapping, but if you're gonna do it, at least it's Denzel Washington. At least you got one of the best actors, in my opinion, in the business, and has been for decades. So at least you got him. He's great in it. He's having a great time. You can tell he really likes the role. And it is a good role, because he is basically outsmarting everyone. And they're going to lead this revolution, to return Rome to the people, which is never a thing, really. Like, since Julius Caesar, they had emperors, and there was, as far as I know, never a plot to get rid of the emperors and just have the Senate like it was before. But I think before even, I think for a while Rome had kings too, and then they got rid of that. Then it was just the Senate. and I believe they have a lower house too, and then Julius Caesar. But anyways, it's very Hollywood. But and then to the people, and Pedro Pascal and Connie Nielsen are gonna lead this. And this is all spoilers, and then they find out, and then Connie Nielsen finds out, oh, Paul Mescal is actually Lucius. Okay, I forget his full name. Lucius. And twist, his father is Russell Crowe. And see, that's part of the problem with this movie, is like, if you're a big fan of the first movie, there's tons of stuff in this that aren't even in the first movie. Like, in the first movie, there's maybe a little bit of a hint that Connie Nielsen and Russell Crowe may have had a relationship in the past. There's a little hint of it. It's never guaranteed said, but it is hinted a little bit. But then, they never say that Maximus is Lucius's father. You just assume that the dad's out of the picture, or he died. You don't know. It's never mentioned. That's what I always assume. Just the father's out of the picture, or he's dead. But yeah, so Lucius is his, is now Maximus Jr. And he, God bless Paul Mescal. He's trying, but you're no Russell Crowe, and the part just isn't written as well. And he does, the same things. Like, he grabs the dirt and puts it in his hands and kind of, whatever, washing his hands in dirt or whatever. And there's this thing with the river Styx. And that's kind of supposed to be similar to, Russell Crowe walking through the, whatever, grains of wheat or whatever. And, with the music playing in the background, and that's kind of, it's like, okay, so you're doing that. But it has none of the pathos, it has none of the power or the energy the first movie had. I mean, the first movie, like, just every minute of that movie is just entertaining. And then in this movie, he kind of gains a friend, who's this doctor, and he patches him up. In the first movie, he has I forget that actor's name, but he patches him up, and that's his friend. And then he becomes the leader of these gladiator troops, just like in the first movie. And then Pedro Pascal and Connie Nielsen's plot gets discovered by Denzel Washington, because this guy owes him a bunch of money. And that scene was pretty funny, where he's like, I now own this house. And the guy spills the beans about this secret gatherings they've been having with other senators, and they're gonna overthrow the emperors and then try them, and then whatever, give it back to the Senate, I guess. I think was the plot, which is the plot in the first movie. So obviously Ridley Scott and his writers, they're just out of ideas, because it's just a pseudo remake of the first one. But yeah, and then Denzel finds out, and then he tells the emperors, and the emperors go and arrest Pedro Pascal, and Pedro Pascal is going to try and rescue Paul Mescal, because he's married to Connie Nielsen, and she wants her son. But then they get arrested, and then Paul Mescal is able to then contact the army of Pedro Pascal, and then he is going to lead the revolution. So yeah, just kind of generic Hollywood. There's even I think a reference to Spartacus in this movie. It's just like, is this movie just like the greatest hits of like ancient Roman movies? Like, but a lot of people that watch it probably never saw Spartacus, so they wouldn't know that. And maybe a lot of people never even saw the first Gladiator, so they wouldn't even know that either. You know, there are some good fights in it. You know, I thought they were entertaining. I think the first movie shot better though, and the cinematographer of Gladiator 2, which is like, this is like unheard of, came out and is talking shit on Ridley Scott. So I guess he's not going to be working with him anymore, because he shot a bunch of his movies. He shot the first Gladiator, and he's basically saying Ridley Scott's lazy now. He uses, like, you know, he's shooting scenes with 10 or 11 cameras at a time, and that makes it so you can't really light it like a certain specific way, and it's not well lit. And then Ridley Scott will say to the cinematographer, well, whatever, we'll fix it in post in the computer. And, you know, I understand that, but yeah, it's just kind of lazy. So I thought that was kind of weird and funny. So yeah, he's just like talking shit on him. And yeah, so I guess they're not going to be working together anymore. And then the guy was just like, I just wasn't into this movie. He said he didn't think the script was that great. And yeah, I guess he did it out of, you know, for a giant paycheck, obviously, but out of loyalty to Scott, because the guy shot the first Gladiator. I mean, you know, that movie's gorgeous looking. And yeah, I just think Ridley Scott cared more back then, you know? I don't know, maybe it's because he's getting older, and, you know, I'm not sure, but, yeah. So, but there are some good fights in the movie. The stuff in the Colosseum's, you know, good. There's a lot of CGI, but a lot of it looks pretty good, though. I mean, obviously, when they're fighting on, in their ships, and they're crashing into each other, a lot of that CGI, but that's unavoidable. So that was cool that we finally got to see the Colosseum flooded with water. Now they actually used, I think it was crocodiles was what they think they actually used. In this they have sharks. So that was like, it's like, why not just have crocodiles? Like, why have sharks? Because it's also like, how do you get the sharks? You know, it doesn't make any sense. Like, I didn't think that was needed. You should have just had the crocodiles, but okay. All right. Yeah, so all those scenes are good. You know, I like, some of the fights are pretty good. Pedro Pascal's okay in it. You know, I don't know. I'm not a massive fan of his, but you know, he's all right in it. He definitely was trying to give a compelling performance. And then, you know, Paul Mescal fights him in the ring, and he hates him. But then, you know, he says, you know, like, I'm married to your mother. And then he doesn't want to kill him anymore. So the Emperors just shoot him with arrows, like 10 arrows too. It's like, okay, I think he's dead. All right. But yeah, it's like someone should play a drinking game with this movie of every time there's like a reference to the first movie, take a shot. Because you'd be wasted by the end. And just kind of weird things, like, you know, like there's this, they secretly kept Maximus's armor, and they have a little shrine to him underneath where all the slaves or gladiator slaves are held, and there's a little shrine to him, and it's like, would they really do that? I don't think so. Okay. So yeah, and then of course he's the son of Maximus, and but yeah, so I'd say, you know, check it out if you're a fan of sword and sandal movies, because they don't really make them anymore. So that is the thing I will give this movie, is I want more Roman epics, but that are better. But I'm not sure if we're gonna get them, because how much has this made? $435 million. And it just costs so much to make too. I mean, it's like on Wikipedia it was saying its budget was like 300 million. It's like 200 to 300 million. So, and apparently there was tons of problems shooting the movie because of COVID and stuff. They had to stop, and they were losing tons of money in Sicily. I think maybe even a stuntman may have died making it. Maybe he was like terribly injured, but so. But yeah, there's so many references to the first movie. It's crazy, but so some of the trivia. The rhinoceros fight was cool. That was cool. The rhinoceros fight was originally meant to be in Gladiator, the first one. It was changed because the special effects at the time couldn't convincingly recreate them, and real rhinos are impossible to tame. Yeah, probably. Well, I'm actually glad because I like the fight with the is it a tiger or is it a lion? I think it's a tiger. In an interview with Simon Mayo, Sir Ridley Scott said that he sold the Kingdom of Heaven set to the Moroccan government for $10 because it was cheaper than dismantling it. He then had to hire it from the same government for use in this movie. Wow. Following the first battle, Acacius says Ve Victis, which in Latin is woe to the defeated. Oh yeah, there's a baboon sequence where they're fighting like baboon, like I guess they're baboons, but like, yeah, in the Kermode review, he calls them space monkeys, because yeah, they don't look real. It's like those are supposed to be baboons. Okay, that part I didn't really like. That part I didn't buy that. Some of them are not. Wait, and he says, so surely Scott cast 12 very small stuntmen. Some of them are not children, but tough teens, quite tiny. He dressed them all in black tights and put tiny whiskers on them as well. What? And we went to war with stuntmen, so it becomes a stuntman brawl of savagery. So then I had all the physicality recorded on the actors. I removed the guy in black tights and in the wireframes of baboons where it looks good. You then put on the flesh and the hair. That's how you do it. Yet someone apparently said to the director, I've never seen a baboon like that before. After he transformed the guy in tights into a savage feral beast, I said, well, the baboon has alopecia where you lose all your hair. Scott continued, I copied that from the baboon I saw in the car park. Okay. Yeah. It wasn't believable, Ridley Scott. Once Paul Mescal was locked for the project, Sir Ridley Scott and Paramount Pictures pushed hard for a star for the other major roles in the film and took a shot with Denzel Washington, the two-time Oscar winner. When the offer was first presented, it was unknown whether he'd actually do it. Washington is known for his great taste in projects and doesn't sign up for just anything. But after having previously worked with Scott on American Gangster and reading the script, sources close to the project said he was excited about the badass role Scott had, convinced him with him in mind. A meeting with Scott soon followed after the director gave his pitch. Washington was on board. Well, I'm glad because he's the best thing in the movie. Connie Nielsen and Sir Derek Jacobi are the only returning cast members for Gladiator, although Russell Crowe appears in several flashbacks after the use of archive footage. Yeah, so he definitely got a paycheck. The Colosseum boat battle scene began shooting in 110-degree Fahrenheit heat at Malta Film Studios in 2023 as actors strike shut. Oh, it was the actors strike that shut it down. The actors strike shut down filming for more than 3 months, and the boat battle finished shooting in 50-degree Fahrenheit temperatures at the same studio in January 2024. Okay, that's it. It wasn't COVID that shut it down for a while. It was the actors strike. which yeah, then caused the balloon the budget up. And then yeah, and then also like the two emperors. Obviously, they're kind of trying to do what Joaquin Phoenix did in the first movie, but it's just, you know, it's just not as good. That's just what it is. And then one of them like has like syphilis or something, and he's like, oh, and it went to his brain, so he's kind of crazy. He betrays the other brother, and then he appoints a monkey as his first consul. That got a laugh out of me. That's like Caligula, kind of, but I think he appointed a horse. It was reported that Timothy Chalamet, Miles Teller, Austin Butler, Richard Madden, and Paul Mescal met or auditioned for Ridley Scott, and Mescal being one of the first and leaving a lasting impression on Scott. Well, he did an okay job, but yeah, it's just, you know, you're no Russell Crowe, and yeah, it's just, you know, it's not there. This is Denzel Washington's first supporting role in a movie since Antoine Fisher. Oh, really? Alright. Carcalla was born Lucius Septimus Bassianus, and later adopted the name Marcus Aurelius Antonius. He acquired the nickname Carcalla because of a Gaelic hooded tunic he habitually wore and briefly made fashionable. Russell Crowe was not asked to return or be involved in the sequel in any way. Sir Ridley Scott stated that Maximus died in the original and the plot was already locked down, so he saw no need to consult Crowe on anything. Crowe admitted in an interview that this sequel being made without his involvement made him feel a tinge of melancholy, a tinge of jealousy due to his fond memories of playing Maximus in his prime and how the success opened many doors for him. He also felt slightly uncomfortable with having no say in what the sequel would do with the character, stating a couple of things that I've heard. I'm like, no. That's not in the moral journey of that particular character. Although he had no contact with Paul Mescal, Crowe wished Mescal the best of luck. Well, I guess Pedro Pascal's in The Equalizer too. So is he like a villain in that? Which is funny because like I've seen that movie, but I almost remember nothing of it. I don't know. Equalizer movies. Many scenes that were filmed in the movie were cut from the final project. Yeah, there'll probably be a director's cut, right? Ridley Scott always does that. Like I haven't seen Napoleon yet, but there's a director's cut that like adds like almost an hour to it or something. Lucius's other name, Hanno, is Carthaginian. Some sources suggest it means grace or favor. Ridley Scott didn't need to pay Russell Crowe anything or need his performance to reuse footage from Gladiator, as per Crowe's original contract in this sequel. However, he nonetheless paid him $50,000 as a goodwill gesture. Oh, really? Wow. Okay, so I guess in the... yeah. Alright, I just assumed he got a paycheck because they show him a couple times. So... but yeah, that's about it though. It's okay. The first one's like a masterpiece. I would say this is definitely not. But I guess we'll see what Ridley Scott does next. I mean, you know, man, he just keeps working. House of Gucci, a movie called Behold. Oh, it's a short film. Never seen that. Napoleon, Gladiator 2. The Last Duel, which I really did like that. So I would say The Last Duel is the last movie of his that I saw that I really did like. So I'd say Last Duel is better than this, but that's about it though. See you next time.